What legal recompense is there for developers and buyers of units when a building suffers structural damage in the event of a natural disaster such as earthquake? I don't think Kenya has earthquakes, but it's still a good question, like depending on.
Okay, so I'll answer that in twofold. Number one, your dictionary is the sales agreement. Back to the sales agreement, because that's the legal document that governs any relationship between you as a buyer and the developer. So that's where the relationship starts. Now, the sales agreement ideally should capture two things. Now, in the course...
Using the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, but go ahead, continue.
So in the course of the construction, they would indicate that there are certain aspects of the force majeure clauses where, if triggered, the contract will be declared void. It cannot be enforced by either party. But if we remove the issue of earthquake now, because the earthquake now falls under the force majeure clause. But speaking to the structural damages with respect to this project, the sales agreement should capture a clause which is now what we call defect liability clause. So defect liability clause is quite simple. What it indicates is, in the event now the project is complete, you move in, then any structural damage would be addressed by the developer for a period of 6 months from the date of the occupation. So the moment you move in, 6 months down the line, it should be addressed by that particular developer. But after now the 6 months elapsed, the developer now will not be liable to address any structural damage that would arise. So what now would happen is you as the buyer and the rest of the buyers in that particular project, you would have formed what we call a corporation or a management company. So it's the management company which takes up that role of ensuring that this particular structural damage is addressed. So the management company or the corporation, what will it do? It will do a very simple thing. When it's formed and shares are allotted to each unit owner, that corporation company would now have to acquire an insurance policy. It will have to acquire an insurance policy which now would cater for potential risks, to cover for potential risks or such as earthquakes in the near future. So let me just recap for the benefit of everyone. It's very simple. One, if it's an earthquake, it is addressed in what we call the force majeure clause in the sales agreement. So if there's a force, if it's triggered, then what that means is that agreement now becomes void. It cannot be enforced by either party. It's typical what happened during the coronavirus pandemic. It was actually declared, in most contracts, it was declared force majeure. It's beyond human control. And contracts could not be enforced, so they became unenforceable because of the situation. But if it's a structural damage that can be redressed, it's a minor structural damage with respect to the project, it's very simple. In the sales agreement, there should be a clause, and in many instances, there are clauses which speak to what we call defect liability clause. So the defect liability clause is very simple and straightforward. What it provides for is that the developer would be required to address any defects that this particular project would have for the next 6 months from the date of occupation. So for the next 6 months, any defects with respect to the project, if it's plumbing issue, wiring issue, electrical issues, the developer would come in and fix it for free, so you don't have to pay for anything. After the 6 months, of course, you will be now having what we call the corporation. So the corporation, or rather what we call the management company, is that legal entity which now all unit owners are members of it. So each unit owner will be a member of that company. So one unit owner gets one share of the company. So if you own two units, you get 2 shares. So you now then for the collectively now the management company would now be required to take out an insurance policy to cover and protect the project going forward. So there should be an insurance policy that is taken out by the management company.
Yeah. So once you get your sectional title and you get part of the management company, that would be basically for people in the US would be essentially like a homeowners association.
Absolutely.
And it's a very similar concept, right? So if you're in an apartment building in the US that has a HOA and the roof gets damaged, hopefully there's enough money from the HOA fees to cover it. If not, you guys are going to have to come together. The HOA management is going to have to raise money or do something to be able to get it repaired, essentially.
Absolutely.
It works in a very similar manner, from my understanding.
The analogy is the same.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot. It's funny because there's a lot of legal stuff in Kenya that's very relatable to the laws in the U.S. And I guess that's because it's foundational on British common law. I guess is kind of where that stuff comes from.
Yeah, Kenya is the British protectorate, so most of the laws here are common law. So we use the English legal system.